Hey, hi, it's Joe. It's week. Oh, it's week 11. Hey, that's a good number. It's week 11, and here we are. And we're talking about. This is just great because it's probably the most awkward week yet, maybe. And I've just moved into halls, so I'm just going to be talking to myself about toilets. Anyway. Yeah, so toilet talk is the topic this week, and what the topic description says is which bathrooms do you use, when do you change bathrooms, and if you like, you can talk about how you deal or dealt with Uncle Flo. So yeah, I use the fellas' bathroom, and I started to do that fairly soon after I kind of figured out my gender identity, because it fairly quickly became uncomfortable for me using the women's. So that was sort of, I don't know, it was very nerve-wracking to begin with, and actually, awkwardly, I waited until I had my, I can't lean back in this chair because it just, like it goes just all the way. I waited until I had my uni card reissued with the right title, so that's kind of like, it's silly, but I sort of felt like I needed evidence of some form, because like, until that point, I felt like if I got called out and questioned being in the women's room, I could just be like, well, I have a vagina, so like, do you want to see it? Do you want proof that I should be in here? Which is gross and ridiculous, but you know what I mean? I felt like if needs be, I had some way that I could be like, well, I do belong in here. I mean, I'm allowed in here. Whereas I didn't feel like I had any sort of way that I could get across, yes, I do belong in here, other than being like, I am a boy. Which obviously is enough, but you know, in the early transition, like, anxiety, I waited until I had my uni card in the right title, so that if needs be I could be like, see that? Yeah, mister. That's right. So yeah, that's really silly. But anyway, and from that point on, I don't know, I mean, I kind of read up online, and I was like, oh, you know, should I change? I really, like, I felt uncomfortable in the women's, but I was frightened about going into the guys. And then, the most things that I read, the general consensus was, men do not give a shit, like, they just go in, heads down, get on with things, and I found that that was pretty accurate. There's a lot more gender policing that goes on in women's toilets. I mean, I've never had any trouble in any toilet, thankfully, that's very fortunate, but apparently it happens a lot more in women's toilets, which I think could be accurate. I don't know, I can't comment, but so yeah, so I didn't, so I read those kinds of things, people saying like, men, like, they just get on with things, they don't care, and that's worked out pretty okay for me. I just kind of go into a store, piss, leave, well, wash my hands and then leave. I've had maybe once or twice where I've walked into bathrooms and the stalls are taken and there's just like urinals, and I'll just walk right out, because like, you know, I'm not that confident standing yet for a start, and also I don't think I would anyway. Like, I don't know, the stall is just a much more comfy place. The stall is a happy place. Obviously some places there's only one stall, and if it's not, you know, available, what do? You just wait, or you walk right out of the bathroom, act as though you didn't want to go anyway. What else about bathrooms? Yeah, I mean, the general advice is, I would say switch bathrooms when you start to feel uncomfortable in the one you're in. And obviously if you feel uncomfortable in both, then use the one that you feel will be safest, or try to find a neutral one. If only there were just all neutral, or more neutral bathrooms, that would be awesome, but people are weird. So yeah, what else? I mean, to begin with, I guess I sort of went to the emptiest bathrooms I could find, and I'd like hope that there was just no one in there, and if someone came in while I was in the stall, I'd be like, shit. And then gradually I just started caring less and going to bathrooms where there were people in, and I gradually just kind of was like, I don't give a shit, this is the bathroom I'm supposed to be in, so yeah. And now I'm obviously perfectly fine and comfy and everything's cool. Unless I'm in like a super rough area and I'm like, I think I just wait. For the most part I feel pretty fine and comfy now. What else? Okay, Uncle Flo, or as I like to call it, Wolfie time. Because, you know, you get grouchy and it's when the moon's big. Wolfie time. How do I deal with it practically and or emotionally? Emotionally, it's kind of not one of the worst things for me. In terms of dysphoria, it doesn't really bother me. I think going through puberty, what I did was I forged a very strong association between that and being fertile, knowing that I could have kids. I mean, medically that doesn't necessarily make sense, but that's what I did to sort of like make it not a horrible negative thing in my mind. I was like, you know, this is okay, this means I can have babies, because I do probably want babies. I very much absolutely want babies at the time. I was like, yes, babies, please. So that sort of was what made that feel okay for me, and I suppose it still does, sort of, although obviously now I'm on T, that's a little bit different. Once they stop, that doesn't mean I'm necessarily like, bam, infertile, it just means they've gone to sleep for a while. Sleepy woo. But anyway, so that kind of has remained, like, I mean, obviously, pain sucks. I hate pain, but in terms of, like, psychologically, it doesn't really bother me. It's, like, not a big deal. In case you want this info, I use a moon cup, and that has worked out really super well for me. I really like it. You can just kind of, like, put it there and forget about it and get on with your life, and it's comfortable, and it's a lot easier than trying to, as I'm sure you all know, than trying to get a pad into a pair of boxers. There is a technique, you can do it, but it's just not very comfy. So yeah. What else? That's about it in terms of emotionally, and practically, yes, I use a moon cup, and that works out really well for me. Practically, in terms of using the fellas and bleeding, like I said, I use a moon cup, so that's a little bit difficult in terms of when you need to change. You can, I mean, they're designed originally to be used at, like, festivals and stuff. Well, not designed, but they're marketed as, like, oh, they're really good for festivals, because you can just, like, so long as all you need with you is, like, a water bottle or a pack of wipes, but a water bottle works fine, and you just, like, you know, take it, rinse it, put it back in. There's nothing to dispose of, there's no, like, stress, so that works out quite well with the bathrooms. So that's cool. Yeah, so that's fine. And there aren't really any other practicalities. I suppose it's easier than trying to get rid of, like, paraphernalia, disposable paraphernalia. I wonder if you can hear me. I don't know if I'm talking loud enough. I'll have to listen back. I think that's about all I have to say about bathrooms. Switch bathrooms when you start to feel uncomfortable in the one that you're using. And obviously keep safety in mind. If you feel like the place you're in, the people you're with, or whatever, like you're going to be unsafe in any way, go pee in a bush. Not really, that's terrible advice, I'm sorry. Find a disabled or neutral bathroom, or use the one that you feel you're going to be safest in, even if it's less comfortable. Safety has to come first, and comfort next. But yeah, I'd say generally that's a good gauge. If you have started to feel uncomfortable in the bathroom you're in, shuffle over to the other one. It's not as scary as it looks. And it gets less scary quite quickly, and it can make you feel good and happy and better. It makes me feel better using the right bathroom. Yeah. As for standing in the men's room, I would recommend practicing a lot before you do that. Like, I waited until I was absolutely, like, new, like I hadn't, like, had any mishaps in a very, very long time. And then I was like, okay, I'll try, but in the store. As for penile urinal, again, consider safety. I mean, I don't think really that anyone, unless it's a very specific situation that you're in, like you're in a gay bar, or like, I don't think anyone's going to be gazing at your crotch. I don't think men really do that in the bath. But be careful, just in case. And maybe if you're unsure, stick to the stall. God, I'm making the world sound like such a scary place. I'm like, it's not scary, but be careful. But that's basically my advice. It's not so scary, but do be careful. This is terrible, I'm sorry. I'm back at uni and it's really awful because I haven't explained to anyone about my gender. I've just been like, hi, I'm Joe. Looks like a girl, / a 14-year-old. So that's cool. But my place is nice, I like it, so that's good. Stay cool, have a lovely week. And next week we're going to talk about TV. Ooh, I wonder what show I'm going to talk about. Nobody knows. What could I possibly talk about that I like a lot that's a TV show? I don't know, do you? See you later, have a good week.